All right, so I'm back in the shop. I haven't posted anything in a while. Nothing's broken. So kind of left off with kind of the end of the Jeep build, and well, it's not the end. It's never the end, right? But got it to the running, driving, wheeling point, and we've had a couple trips out with the buggy, and been pretty good. I've got a little bit of an off and on running issue. Mess with the distributor, runs a little better. Starts running crappy, mess with the carburetor, runs a little better. Starts running crappy. Fuel or ignition related, I'm working on sorting it out. So easiest step for me is going to be fuel related. I've gone through the carburetor a couple of times now. It doesn't seem, looking for that piece of garbage floating around. Doesn't seem to be an issue. I'm starting to kind of question the fuel pressure regulator. A couple of times when I had a hard time starting it, the bowls were dry. Like when we got back from the Badlands, the bowls were dry in the carburetor and I couldn't fill them. So I'm thinking whap the fuel pressure regulator a couple of times with a screwdriver, and all of a sudden I had fuel. I've got too small of a fuel line on it, so I got to run all new fuel lines. I'm probably going to put an electric pump in it to boost the fuel line pressure, get a better pressure regulator, things like that. That'll be the first start. Even when it runs bad, it still runs good enough to wheel it. Just got to 2-foot it a couple of times here and there to keep her from, I mean, this thing tries to idle at like 250, 300 RPM rather than the 6 or 7. But then when you roll into the throttle, it all of a sudden finds all 8 cylinders and just it's wheel spin. So it's hard to be graceful with it right now at low speeds. But update on the shop and some other new toys. Here we go. So one of the things we haven't talked about is go-karts. My father-in-law is a huge go-kart guy, vintage guy. He's vintage himself, 73 years old, but still ripping. He runs a 206 kart for those that are into karting. In the local thing, local track over here. Then he runs a vintage Yamaha. He's got like 4 vintage karts, 2 Yamahas, McCullough, and I want to say, well, he's got all the stuff to build a flathead, but this is the kart he put together for me, and went out Friday night playing with him. First time in a year. I broke my ribs a year ago in this stupid thing, and first time I've been in a year. Took 3rd place. Now, competition's not that stiff. There's one guy that's almost a second faster than me, and then the group behind me is a second slower pretty much. So I'm just kind of out there turning laps by myself, and I probably would have gotten second at overall for the night, but in the second heat that thing decided to jump off the front of the cart. So I'm gonna put a little project together here. The braces, all the braces are busted off that hold the nose on. That piece is supposed to be clamped up right there, and stripped it all off to finish the night. So we're gonna do something super heavy duty. We've had a few noses over the years pop off, and we've been using lightweight aluminum tubing, swedging the ends over, drilling a hole in it. Well, they always seem to be cracking off and causing trouble. So another older gentleman at the track says, why don't you put a half a pound of steel and steel structure in there and cut a half a pound off of that 10-pound weight you got in it? And I said, well, that's kind of a no-brainer. So that's going to be a fun little project. He gave me the opportunity to snap a bunch of photos of his cart and how he did his nose. And I'm already, like I say, I'm carrying 10 pounds of weight. I might as well put it into structure, because you never win a race if you can't finish it. So there's that part. That's one new toy. There's a Jeep in the background. It's becoming a shelf. I got stuff sitting on it. That's never any good. I cleaned up this corner. I used to have the weld bench into the corner. It was only accessible on 2 sides. Really kind of a pain in the ass. Water came in under the wall. Had a bad downspout issue. Rusted all the steel stock that, trinkets I had laying on the floor. So I got to scrub the floor at some point or just wear the rust off of it. But slid that down the wall. There used to be a big table sitting here that was just stock, it was a flat surface just filled with crap. So got rid of that. And then the next thing I did today, I just picked up this Eastwood MiG 180. So I really liked the 175. I had some spatter issues, and but it tack welded stuff great. When I was welding the cage, granted, you were bad torch angles and things like that. I had some spatter, get up into 1/4 inch steel, welding some heavier plate and things like that. Seemed to spatter a lot, just couldn't get it dialed in. So when I bought that machine, which came with that 60 amp plasma, it also came with a spool gun. So I'm gonna set this up to weld aluminum with a spool gun. And then I modified the cart. That's a Harbor Freight cheapie cart. They're twins, but I moved that shelf down a bunch and set the plasma cutter at the bottom. I put the plasma at the bottom because the leads on it are huge. You know, I can get halfway across the shop with that thing, and I don't need it up in the air to get up into a vehicle or anything like that. So that guy is going to be set up for running aluminum here. I got it all wired, plumbed, and I just got to grab a bottle. So I'm going to steal one of those from work probably. And the MiG 180. So transformer machine weighs a ton. Inverter machine, this thing, you pick it up and lug it around. You don't even lug it around. It's just one-handed, carry it around. This one also then runs on 120 and 220. So that'll be nice. We can take that out camping. And most campsites we set up at, we have power. And if I needed to weld something, I could burn it together at a campsite, patch, repair, etc. So hooked that up on the old cart and ran some beads with it. Dials in way nice. I'm not even gonna say way nicer. Significantly, not even significantly. Dials in a little better than the 175. I can't fault this machine for anything because everything I've built for the last year has been built with that, and it's honestly never skipped a beat. And I've run it hard, and it's done a really good job. This one, fired it up, dialed in the settings, and it lays down a really nice weld. So sounds super consistent, less spatter, etc. So we're going to run those two pretty much side by side. It kind of sucks with these machines because to flip them to, you know, back and forth between the aluminum and the steel, the spool gun, you got to take the hose, the whole torch off. A lot of the newer millers are that way too. We bought, I want to say, 211 at our shop, or maybe one larger than that up at my work, and we bounce back and forth between a spool gun, welding the aluminum trailer, repair and things like that, doing railings, and doing the steel framework service. So when we unboxed that machine, we're like, we don't have time for that. So we ended up taking that one back to Miller and getting a bigger, one of the last inverter style machines that Miller's making. I think that's the 252. Because then you can have your spool gun stacked on top of the regular MIG gun setup, so you don't have to, you know, interchange things, reset things up. So, you know, if you're just welding aluminum once in a blue moon, which is probably what I'll be doing, it's not that big of a deal. But I think it would just be nice, especially if I do like a 2-minute job for somebody. Why spend 15 minutes setting up a whole different welder for 2 minutes of welding just to spend another 15 minutes setting it all up again? So just have one ready to rip, plug it in, open the gas, and hit the, you know, squeeze the trigger. So so yeah, that's that new toy. Little go-karting fun, little go-kart service work, and we're gonna do a little on the Jeep, but the Jeep is actually kind of not that important right now. We don't have a whole heck of a lot going on. This is the Sunday after July 4th, and I don't think we've got really a wheeling trip planned officially until we go to Southern Missouri Off-Road Ranch for the Crawl of the Ozarks in September. But I will say we will be out somewhere in August. July's pretty much sucked up for us with family and friends, and we've been spending a lot of time all year with family and friends. So rather than taking Jeep trips, we just chose to stay home. So that's it. That's the update. Couple new toys, a little bit of fun stuff, and rearranging the shop. So thanks for watching. Check in later, man.